Hey Extraordinerd, yo soy Paola Del Castillo y en este video se me va a cumplir el conocer a otro de mis grandes crushes de Hollywood, Tom Hiddleston, porque lo voy a entrevistar con motivo de la película Kong, la Isla Calavera, que se estrena este 10 de marzo, y voy a entrevistar también a Vogt-Roberts, el director de esta cinta, y a Brie Larson, quien es también protagonista en esta película. Ya pude ver la película y me gustó mucho todo el tono de B-movie que tiene, además de que está plagada de referencias geeks, así que me da mucha emoción platicar con Vogt-Roberts. Él es un director muy nuevo que dirigió una película independiente llamada The Kings of Summer. Me parece muy interesante lo que están haciendo en Hollywood de incluir a nuevos talentos en películas de gran presupuesto, así que me emociona también platicar con él y con la extraordinaria Brie Larson. Así que acompáñenme para ver qué es lo que me cuentan sobre esta película. I love this movie. You have so many references that I think all the geeks in the world will just, their minds will be blown.
If they find them all, there's a lot.
I know. Like, I found some of them, but let's see if I did my job. For example, the octopus scene, is that an Old Boy reference?
That is absolutely an Old Boy reference. We actually gave the animators that clip from Old Boy and basically had them match that. But I just sat down with the Park Chan-wook, the director of Old Boy, and he saw the movie. And so I was like, did you get the reference? And he was just like kind of in awe of the fact that we spent a bunch of money recreating the thing that he shot like in 2 takes.
You have played villains, now you play a hero.
Yeah.
So what do you enjoy playing the most?
Ooh, I like them both, you know. I've loved playing Loki, who I suppose is the most villainous character I've played, because he is the god of mischief. So it's almost my job to have as much fun as I can. But there is also, he's destined to lose. That's the whole point of being Loki, is that he never wins. And he makes choices out of self-interest, whereas Conrad in this, he's actually looking after everybody else, and I like that.
I love that in this movie you have a very strong character. It's not the usual damsel in distress that we have seen in other Kong movies. So was it important to you to play this kind of character?
Yeah, definitely. I think what's exciting about this film is how we've taken this typical iconography of Kong, but kind of flipped it on its head a little bit. It's in a completely different period of time, and the female character that has this interaction with Kong that I play is different. She's not a movie star, she's an anti-war photographer, so she's very brave, very tough, but still has that sense of heart and empathy that she connects with Kong through.
There are also a lot of anime references, for example, like Princess Mononoke and stuff. Were you very inspired in anime?
I'm a dork, so I grew up on video games and anime, so very much Miyazaki and Princess Mononoke. The villain creature is almost a riff off of No Face from Spirited Away. But a big part of the way that Kong moves and the way the action unfolds in this movie and the style to the action has more to do with like Neon Genesis Evangelion than a lot of other things. And like there's an Akira reference in the film. My instincts, my influences, it was actually a very difficult thing because with effects, a place like Industrial Light and Magic will tend to make something as real as possible. So if Kong jumps and he slams down on the ground, the amount of dust that would technically get kicked up, it's like, this is the realistic amount. And it's like, that's not enough, it's not enough. And they're like, no, I know, but that's what it is. And it's like, yeah, but I want a shockwave. I want this like explosion of dust to like fly at the camera. And things like that I think are just very rewired at a young age in me with things like anime and manga and those more sort of like stylized sources. They were just very important to me.
And this time you're like a hunter, tracker. Sometimes I thought of Indiana Jones. Did you get inspiration from any movie characters from throughout history?
Indiana Jones is a huge figure of my own childhood. I loved those films growing up. Really loved them. They had a special place for me. I think because they just feel like such classic adventures. But also he's interesting because he's a British soldier and slightly lost, and one of those men who feels more comfortable in an extreme environment than he does in a sort of peaceful one. And I think those guys in life are interesting.
For me, my job is just to service these individual characters as best as I can. So because she's a photojournalist, I spoke with real reporters, real photographers that have been on the ground during the war, and got to learn a lot about what their day-to-day life is like. And once you start learning about this quest for truth and this ability to put your life on the line, it just kind of fuels me to go I want to tell this story as honestly as possible and do right by these people.
Did you enjoy photography in your real life?
Yeah, I took photography class when I was in high school, so I was familiar with taking photos and developing my own film. So on set, I actually took real film photos. I took a lot of photos just as we were shooting, but I also tried to make sure that I took real photos of the actual things that Weaver was taking photos of. So we have photo documentation that matches the film.
And we have these shots of Packard's eyes, and he looks evil and more animal-like than Kong. So was it important to you to show that he's more human than the humans?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But, you know, a big part of initially talking to a lot of these actors was saying, I want this movie to have a bunch of close-ups. You know, Vietnam War movies, if you look at them, they're not like a lot of other war films in the sense that most of the action's very tight. It's like a lot of close-ups, which gives you like a very suffocating feel. And when talking to Tom Hiddleston and to Brie Larson and John C. Reilly and this incredible cast, a big part of sort of my pitch initially was, this is a movie that big moments when a monkey is punching a helicopter out of the sky, those are as important as the small moments, the quiet moments, where I'm on your face, just at a close-up in your eyes. And those moments are just as important.
You have a great scene with a gas mask. Was it difficult to wear that and see what you were doing?
Yes, I couldn't see a thing. We did a couple of takes without it, so I just, you know, you practice without it, get the moves right. It was really fun, actually. I love shooting action because it's choreography. It's more like shooting a dance sequence in a musical because you're having to work in concert with the camera team, and the gas canisters with the green smoke, they would only last for about 30 seconds. So I had to be very precise and quick with all the moves. It's really fun. It's a different kind of shooting.
And you look very 70s in this movie. Like, I think your character is the most 70s authentic character. Would you like to live in that time period?
I love the 70s. I mean, amazing music, great hairdos, but I mean, there's something that's beautiful about every period of time. I love seeing how this planet has progressed over the years.
Talking about the music is fantastic. Do you like the songs that are playing in this soundtrack?
Yeah, it's a classic 70s hits. I think that adds such a great layer to this film because it immediately taps in to this part of the 70s that you love and recognize so much.
I love it, honestly. We listen to it so much, and it's one of my favorite eras, late 60s, early 70s. I'm a huge Rolling Stones fan. There's no Stones in this, but we listen to a lot of Rolling Stones making the film. Creedence is great, classic American rock and roll. David Bowie, Jefferson Airplane. I love that track, Brother by Jorge Ben. It's great, yeah.
The whole tone of the film, it feels very with 70s movies and B movies also. But for the people that don't know these references, how would you describe the tone of the film?
The movie is, it's very aware of itself and has a lot of fun. You sort of take the awe of the original Jurassic Park and combine that with the edge of something like Aliens, and then you wash that over with the aesthetic of like Apocalypse Now and these Vietnam War films. But then you almost mix in like a John Hughes movie or something. And it's something that's like absurd and funny and strange. And what I love about the tone is that people are gonna laugh way harder than they ever expected. And they're also gonna be way more like tense and scared than they ever expected. I just love absurdity, and I love the idea that if you went to a crazy island like this, there's no way you and your friends, if you were in that situation, wouldn't be making jokes. Because that's how you would get through it, you know? And John C. Reilly is just such a genius, and I think people are going to be like blown away by him in this film.
You filmed in so many exotic tropical places. Did you have any weird encounters with bugs or animals?
I did have a few, yeah. We were filming in a swamp in Vietnam, and it was completely safe, but a swamp is a swamp. It's not a swimming pool. And we were running through the swamp every day for 10 days, and there were some bugs. I had a wetsuit underneath my trousers, my pants, and I sort of had this experience of something was like nibbling away inside the wetsuit, and I had to sort of go behind a tree, and there was a little bug who was crawling his way up my leg. And so you just sharing the set with nature.
Was there any particular difficult scene for you to film?
I think in general, it's just not one particular scene. It's just like the stamina, because you're climbing and running and jumping for 10 hours a day. So just the stamina to get through the day, on top of it being, sometimes it's 120 degrees, sometimes it's 60 degrees. just having the stamina to get through each day, no matter what the temperature was.
It's incredible how you recreated Kong, especially the eyes. They are so intense and human-like, so was it important for you to get the eyes right?
Yeah, because with our Kong, he's so big, right? So with a normal Kong movie, you'd have like a woman in his hand, and then she can get right up into his face. But because our Kong was so big, and I wanted our Kong to be this sort of godlike figure, there's so much distance between them. So you can't have that interaction. You can't be that close all the time. So at that point, the only way cinematically to really like get into his mind and his soul and to peel back these layers are through his eyes. I really wanted to have these like very intense close-ups, and that's like a testament to the Toby Kebbell, who did a lot of the facial capture, and then the people at Industrial Light and Magic who designed my childhood. Like just the incredible work that they did where those eyes just, they feel real.
When was the first time that you watched a Kong movie?
I don't know how to answer that because I feel like I've just grown up with the Kong movies. My parents had a Kong poster in our living room growing up, and I just feel like that image of Kong is everywhere. It doesn't even take you seeing the movies to know who Kong is because he's such an iconic image.
If you had to come face to face to Kong and to Packard, who do you think is scarier?
Ooh. Yeah, I think probably Packard in the end. Packard is trying to do what he thinks is right, which is protect his unit and his soldiers, but actually he starts to lose his grip on reality, and he becomes so set on vengeance that once he's decided he's crossed over, he becomes very dangerous. Kong, I think, is more of a protector, but you wouldn't want to make him angry.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
When we get to see Kong versus Godzilla, whose side will you be on personally?
I don't know.
I've got to root for Kong, haven't I? Feel like I've got to, I'm on the home team.
Yeah.
But I do love Godzilla and always have, ever since I was a very small child. Used to watch the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. People ask me who would win in a fight. Who do you think would win?
I don't know.
It's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, they're both good, so.
Yeah.
But I'm rooting for Kong because he's more human.
Yeah, I think so. But the whole fire, he breathes fire, or a sort of atomic breath, yeah. Exciting.
So we'll have to see in
We'll
2020.
We'll find out soon, yeah.
Great, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, thanks a lot. Thanks, Paola.
Thank you, great to
Thank
meet
you, lovely to meet you too.